دلم حسرت کربلا آه کربلا کربلا کربلا.
And his pure immaculate Ahlul Bayt. Before I start, I want to thank the community for that excellent play which the brothers and sisters performed. All I can say is this community seems to be blessed for such a small community to perform such a play. It's not very normal. Well done. Alhamdulillah wa farakumullah inshallah. Okay, today inshallah I'm going to open up the concept of Tawheed to some extent. And the reason I'm doing this, as I said last night, is because if we don't incorporate the aqaid, the Islamic doctrine, firmly within our souls, no matter how much acts of worship we do, we're not harvesting anything. Or we'll be harvesting a minimum. But the more Tawheed we understand, the more aqaid we understand, and incorporate within us, our salat begins to have meaning, begins to acquire taste. It all depends on our aqaid, how we've understood it. Now in the beginning I'll start very slowly. Inshallah, everyone should understand the first half of the discussion, but then it may get a bit difficult. But if you pay attention, everyone will understand, inshallah. Be you a Muslim or a non-Muslim, everyone is looking for happiness, looking for perfection, looking for salvation. Everyone, doesn't matter what religion you belong to. If someone says to you, I'm not looking for happiness, or I don't want to look for perfection, you would say, such a person is abnormal. This is something we all want. And we find perfection, be you Muslim or non-Muslim, in different things. It's okay. Some people in food, some people in the car, house, power, knowledge, ethics. Different perfections exist. There are different levels of perfection. Now, before I continue, there will be three things that I will be presupposing. I'm assuming these three things to be true. And everything that I have to say is based on these three things. And these three things are self-evident truths. There's no need to prove them. No person should reject them. They're so self-evident. And they are that I exist and you exist. No one denies that. Different perfections exist around us with different varying levels of perfection. And I or we really want and desire those perfections. We really go towards them. We want to acquire them. They must really exist for us to go towards it. Now, on appreciating this and using different perfections during one's life, somewhere down the line, whether you're a Muslim or a non-Muslim, for many of us this may happen, that somewhere along the line, when you keep on using the different perfections that you see, be it food, car, house, a toy, and so on and so forth, somewhere along the line, the soul begins to grow. And you ask yourself, I want something more perfect. The house is good, the car is good, the game is good, the studies are good, but I'm looking for something more perfect. Now this is a sign that the soul is growing now. The soul is becoming more mature. So one asks oneself, why not go in search of something which is more perfect? one goes in search and finds things or people who are more perfect than what one used to experience perfection in. It may be a book, it may be a person, but it's more perfect than what one used to have. And then one occupies oneself with those perfections, with those things or people. And then one, after a while, somewhere down the line again, the soul is becoming more mature, the soul grows. One says, okay, now I want something more perfect. These are all natural routes that we take, be you Muslim or non-Muslim. One says, I want something more perfect now. One doesn't become satiated with this new perfect thing that one has acquired. And then this always continues. And some people, they'll stop somewhere. They may stop with the car, with the big house, with the food. It's possible. We don't want to judge anyone. They may stop with the idol. But some people keep on going in search of perfection. And every now and again they want something more perfect. This is a journey of the soul. Journey of one's rationality. Be one Muslim or non-Muslim at this stage. It doesn't matter. And then all of a sudden one comes to a very important point in one's life. After traveling, going through the differing levels of perfection in different things or people, the soul matures, acquires a threshold, the threshold that one asks oneself, why not go in search of the most perfect thing? That which is most perfect in the absolute sense. It's perfect in relation to all dimensions now. It has no limitations. Why not go for that? If one reaches that level, be you Muslim or non-Muslim, it's a good level to have acquired. Even if you never reach your destination, this will help you thereafter. You are truly in search of the most perfect being, even if you never succeeded to find it. It has a value at least. Now, so we want absolute perfection in all dimensions. We're at this level now. How do we find it? Here, one's rationality has to help and explore this matter. Rationality, one's aql, says, I want something which is perfect in all aspects. So it shouldn't be limited by space, for example. For it not to be in one place, but to be only confined to another place. I'm looking for absolute perfection. That's okay. There are many things which are spatially confined, and they have a degree of perfection, that's okay, but I've reached a new threshold now. I don't deny that, but I want perfection in the absolute sense. It shouldn't be spatially limited. Still, one is traveling here, be you Muslim or non-Muslim. All this is religion free for now. The non-Muslim, even if they live behind the mountains, they have the capacity to grow and ask these questions because they have rationality. Something which is spatially limited is less perfect than that entity which is not spatially limited. Then one's aql tells one, I want something which isn't limited by time. I don't want something which wasn't once upon a time and then came to be at some time or other. That's limited temporally, it's limited by time. The prophets, men of God, they're very respectable. I accept that. But still, I'm after absolute perfection now. Someone who's not limited by time. who always was, is, will be. I'm after that for now. If something always was, is, and will be, then that has to be infinite. If it wants not to be limited by time. If something is infinite, it has to be one. You can't have two infinities. You can't have two independent infinities. See, all this, one's aql is working here. You want perfection in the absolute sense. You're looking for it. Shouldn't be limited by space. Shouldn't be limited by time. Has to be infinite. If it's infinite, it has to be one. Also, it has to be independent. Because if it's going to be dependent, well, I'm looking for absolute perfection. I'll go, to whom is that entity dependent upon? Let's go there. So the innate nature, the fitra, is pulled towards finding such an entity. Everyone is pulled towards it. Everyone is traveling towards it. People stop at different parts. People mistakenly think they've reached that absolute perfection in different things as a result of not using one's aql as it should be used. And other reasons too. But the fact that one's inner nature, be you Muslim or non-Muslim, is pulling you towards an absolute perfect entity, it must exist in order for that pull to have been realized in the first place. So the Muslim or non-Muslim can find that being, and this much the common lay person can make an effort to understand, even if they live behind the mountains. So this was up to a certain level which our rationality, whoever we are, wherever we are, could help us with in finding that. But now we have to enter the realms of philosophy and irfan. The urafa, the philosophers, they also now have contributed, and they can help. They can also help us, the common layperson, to understand that reality, that absolute perfection, one step more. So far, that entity is an entity which is not limited by space, not limited by time. It's infinite, it's one, and it has to be independent. Here the philosophers give this a name. They say this that you have reached, this entity that you have reached up to now, we have a name for it. We call it pure existence. Or existence qua existence. Existence in and of itself. Pure existence. There's a difference between existence and creation. Creation is a limited form of existence. Pure existence doesn't have a beginning. Pure existence doesn't have an end. You can't put a beginning to existence. To creation you can, but not to existence. If you put a beginning to existence, then the person will ask you, well, what happened before that? Then if you say, no, it was nothing then, well, that's impossible. Because we don't have anything called nothingness. Non-existence doesn't exist. It's a non-reality. Nothingness isn't and doesn't exist. You can't point to anything saying this is nothingness. You can construct a concept of it, but it doesn't exist. We don't have anything called nothingness. Whatever is existence. There's nothing outside existence. Whatever is existence. This existence doesn't have a beginning, because what will happen after it doesn't have an end. If it has an end, what will happen after that? Are we going to say nothing again? nothingness doesn't exist. If you understand this premise, and it's a self-evident truth, according to many philosophers, that we don't have anything called nothingness, you'd be able to absorb this easier. Although there are other perspectives too, in relation to nothingness, but I'm giving you the Olafon's perspective here. So that thing which you're looking for now, that absolute perfection, we know what it is. Because it has no beginning, has no end, not limited by space, not limited by time. It's infinite, it's one. It's independent, it's one existence. And it's independent. Everything emanates from existence. Creation is different to existence. Creation does have a beginning and end. As in creation of this book. When we say creation has a beginning, someone may ask, well, what happened before that created thing came? There are two answers here. I want you to focus on one of the answers. In relation to a created thing, whatever it is, whenever it was. If someone says, well, where was that? What was that created from? Either you say nothingness, we say it's impossible. Or you say it was created from something else. So this book was created from, let's say, a tree. But there was something there which led to the creation of this book. The tree was created from something else. It was created from something else. Keep on going back. There's no beginning. There's no beginning to creation. There is a beginning to a created thing. This thing was once upon a time. It was formed from a tree, for example. But the process of creation too, you can't come to a first starting point. Because if you do come at a starting point in the process of creation, then the question is, well, what was before that? Then you have to say nothingness. We say it's impossible. So, in the answer to the question, was the chicken first or the egg? Sayyid Mustafa Khomeini in his tafsir says, well, it is a chicken, before it must have been an egg for the chicken to have come to be realized. Before the egg, there must have been a chicken. Before the chicken, an egg. Before that, a chicken. Keep on going back. There's no beginning. Although there one or two things can be added, that it's okay to believe that a chicken can be formed from earth, but still, the chicken was made from something, and that earth was made from something else. You just can't make the link of a created thing coming to be from nothingness. That's impossible. So, when Amirul Mu'mineen alayhi salam in Nahj al-Balagha says, خَلَقَ اللَّهُ الْأَشْيَاءَ مِنَ الْعَدَمِ, Allah created things from nothing. This nothing, Adam, there are two forms of it. Adam, nothing, means absence. It can either mean an absence of existence or an absence of essence. These are just terms, it's easy to explain. When you say nothing, it may mean an absence of existence. Something was non-existent. It came from non-existence. We say that's impossible. But Amirul Mu'mineen is saying this. No, he means the absence of essence. This book, with this length and breadth, this depth, this weight, these are definitions of this book. These weren't when it was a tree. It was nothing in relation to length, breadth. It came from the tree. But when it was a tree, the book, there was no length. It was nothingness in length. But don't say it came from nothingness as in an absence of existence. That would be impossible. It came from something else. That other thing came from something else. That's okay. But Amir al-Mu'min wasn't saying that Allah created things from nothingness, as in non-existence. So, we're looking for pure existence. When I say pure, I mean existence in and of itself. Not existence with this weight, with this length, with this breadth, with this concept, with this rationality, with this. These are all restrictions to it. These are restricted forms of existence. These are limited existing beings. We call limited existing beings creation. Creation means something which is measured. The Arabic khanaqa means measured. So we're looking for pure existence. It's one reality, existence. It's one reality, that pure existence. Something which everything emanates from. Whatever created thing you see has existence. It is. Everything depends on existence. Existence doesn't have a beginning, doesn't have an end. It can't do. It's infinite. It's one existence. And there are different forms and manifestations to it we call creation. Now, La ilaha illallah. It has one meaning. The superficial meaning is there's no deity but Allah. That's one dimension to it. But as I said last night, Islam is multi-dimensional, has several esoteric layers to it. One of the definitions of La ilaha illallah now should become apparent. There's no existing being but that pure existence. Nothing is outside it. Nothing is outside existence. Whatever is existence. There's only one existence. Everything else are manifestations of it. Nothing is outside it. Nothing is separate from it. Nothing is independent from it. La ilaha illallah. Amir al-Mu'mineen in Nahj al-Balagha again, when he defines Tawheed, At-Tawheedu Isqatul Idafat. Tawheed is the stripping away, the cancelling of the additional matters. What does that mean? We have a created being, a created thing. Take away its dimensions from it. Take away its length, breadth, color, size, weight, concept, whatever, everything. What do you have? You have pure existence then. You have limitless existence. You've stripped it away from everything. At-Tawheedu Isqatul Idafat. That pure existence, which the philosophers call pure existence, the theologians call Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that pure existence transcends in all things. In everything, that pure existence transcends in it. That thing can't be independent without pure existence. Not that the pure existence, is physically in something, no. But it transcends through it. Everything depends on it. So in every X or Y thing, you do Isqatul Idafat. You strip away all its features, its dimensions, color, size, so on and so forth. You get to that pure existence. And that's not visible with the physical eye either. In the Quran, there's a verse that reads, Huwa. Now this is a very important word. Huwa. It means he. What the theologians call Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the philosophers call pure existence, the Ulafa call Hu or Huwa. Him. Who is that pure existence that transcends in all things? Nothing can be without it. The Quran reads Huwa, that Hu alladhi khalaqa as-samawati wal-ard. He, that Who, is that which created the heavens and the earth. Meaning that Who, that pure existence, transcends in everything. Nothing is separate from it. Nothing is independent from it. Nothing is free from it. Because whatever is, exists. And there's nothing outside existence. And that's not to say that the sun is Allah, na'udhu billah, the moon is Allah, or this is Allah. No, we're not saying that. No one has said that. No Arif, no Sufi has ever said such a thing. It's just that some of them undergo these states and they rephrase it in a way which is uncomfortable at times, especially for the common lay person. But give them benefit of the doubt. One comes and say that the moon is Allah. And they give some relationships. For example, they compare Allah, that pure existence, that Who, with all else, creation, like the sun and the rays. The sun is something, the rays are manifestations of the sun. The rays have no existence without the sun, but the ray isn't the sun. The sun isn't the ray. But the ray's existence-wise is fully 100% dependent on the sun. Whatever you see in the rays is the sun. There's nothing outside the sun. It's all manifestations of it. So whatever is a manifestation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now we come to the Quran. There's a surah, a chapter that we are told it's supposed to have to recite in every salat, at least once. Surah Al-Ikhlas, Qul huwa Allahu ahad. Qul, say, Who? Analyze these words separately, one after the other. Qul, Who? That pure existence. Doesn't have a beginning, doesn't have an end. Infinite, independent. Who? The most hidden of Allah's concealed names. The most esoteric of names. Okay, can you explain what this Who is? Qul, Who? Allah. Allah is an exoteric name. It's not one of the esoteric names. We want to explain what this Who is. This Who is the most hidden of the hidden. Let's bring it out a bit. Allah. Ahad. We have to explain what Allah is. Ahad, one. Not the numerical one, which has a 2, a 3, and a 4. This one can't be numerical. Because whatever is that existence. There's nothing outside existence. There can only be one. Nothing is independent from it. Can you point to something which isn't? Qul huwa Allahu ahad, Allahu samad. Now let's explain what ahad is. Allah is samad. Now samad, I don't know what the translation is, but a verse of the Quran explains what it is. Who, هو الأول والآخر والظاهر والباطن. Who? That who is the first and the last, the outer and the inner. Whatever is that who manifesting. كل يوم هو في شأن. Now, yawm doesn't mean day, it means manifestation. The reason we call day yawm because it manifests things in the day. كل يوم, every manifestation, whatever it is, it's who, that pure existence. في شأن, in play, at work, or to be exact, in dimension, in some dimension. في شأن, but it's هو في شأن. هو الأول والآخر والظاهر والباطن. He's the first, he's the last. Imagine going into a clothes shop. You enter a clothes shop. Someone sees a pair of trousers. Someone sees a skirt. Someone sees a pair of gloves. Someone sees a hat. The Arif, the Sufi, sees nothing but thread in the clothes shop. There's only thread. La ilaha illallah. There's nothing in that clothes shop but thread. The hat is nothing but thread, but it's a measured form of thread. The hat, when you say it warms your head, is the hat warming your head or the thread? It's the thread. The hat has no existence outside the thread. Whatever the hat is, it's all thread. La ilaha illallah. Huwa al-awwal wal-akhir wal-zahir wal-batin. That hat, it's all thread. It's beginning, it's end, it's inner side, it's outside, it's all thread. If you say this pair of gloves is beautiful, that beauty, do you attribute it to the gloves or to the thread? It's all to the thread, because the glove doesn't have any reality outside the thread. At-tawheedu isqatul idafat. With the trousers, take away its size, shape, color, weight, take everything out, what you have left. Well, that's just an analogy, so we understand Tawheed better. It must be determined, what are we looking for when we're looking for Allah? It's important. Sometimes you say, well, everything has a cause. What's the cause of Allah? The question is wrong. What's this Allah that you're looking for? It's apparent that from your question, you're looking for something else. We're saying pure existence always was, always will be. Doesn't have a beginning. And you're speaking of a cause? This is the cause of everything. Makes no sense to look for a cause of pure existence. Or some people, and it's okay, philosophers do this. I mean, we can't all jump to step 100 eventually. We have to go stepwise. One of the proofs of Allah, they say, through creation. You see the sun, the moon, it implies the existence of a creator. And that's okay, but it's not precise enough. It's not like the fire and smoke example when it comes to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You see smoke, therefore there must be fire. That's right. But with smoke and fire, the smoke is separate to the fire. It's two realities. We don't do that in relation to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Nothing is outside, nothing is separate from pure existence. For you to say, there's something called pure existence and there's something separate to it. From the sun and the moon, we get to pure existence. No. It doesn't work like that. It's like getting to Allah through Allah. Yes, that's okay. But the sun, the moon, creation, it doesn't point towards Allah because it's not separate from pure existence. Now maybe this is meant when Imam Hussein alayhi salam,
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajil faraj.
when he says in Dua Arafat, Kayfa yustadallu alayk, how can you, Allah, how can you be proved بما هو في وجوده مفتقر إليك, by means of something which depends on you existence-wise? How can you be proved by means of something which depends on you existence-wise? It doesn't work like that. أَيَكُونُ لِغَيْرِكَ مِنَ الظُّهُورِ, is there any manifestation other than you, outside you, مَا لَيْسَ لَكَ, that isn't in unity with you? Is there a manifestation outside you? It's a rhetorical question. You know. حَتَّى يَكُونَ هُوَ الْمُظْهِرَ لَكَ, so that we say that manifestation is manifesting you. Is there any manifestation outside you which isn't in unity with you for it to manifest you? No. It can't be the case. If you make something separate to Allah, which independently wants to prove or manifest Allah, well, it ruins our idea of Tawheed. It ruins that idea of absolute perfection again. Whatever is existence. Allah is. متى غبت حتى تحتاج إلى دليل يدل عليك. When were you, Allah, when were you ever absent so that we need a proof to prove you? When were you absent? You were never absent. There was no beginning, there's no end. You were never absent. And it continues. The door is very long, but it's very worthwhile to read a few lines every day. So absolute perfection is everywhere, and nothing is without it. So whatever is in unity with pure existence. Whatever is inseparable from pure existence. Whatever is wholly dependent on pure existence. And we want to see this reality. Acknowledging it is one thing, but seeing this reality not with the eyes of not with the physical eyes, but we want to see it. Lam a'bud rabban lam ara, Amirul Mu'mineen alayhi salam. I never worship a Lord that I don't see. It's not with the physical eye though, but it's something to be seen, something to be heard, not with the physical eye, something to be tasted, not with the physical taste buds, something to be touched, not with the physical hand. We believe in all these. We have traditions that point to all these. We're all in unity with who? With Him. Everyone. Everything. But the thing is, we're not aware of this unity. On awareness, you become a different person. On awareness with that. But everyone's in unity with Him. فَأَيْنَمَا تُوَلُّوا فَثَمَّ وَجْهُ اللَّهِ. Whichever way you turn, there's the wajh of Allah. It's translated as face, but wajh means essence. That who, the essence of Allah. It's all who transcending. There's nothing outside it. كُلُّ يَوْمٍ هُوَ فِي شَأْنٍ. How do we try to see that reality? Albeit momentarily. Some people see it constantly. Some people see it momentarily. Everyone to their own degree. Ayatollah Hassan Zadeh, in one of his poems, it's book of supplications. And with each supplication he starts with Ilahi, my God. And in this one he says, I'll just read the phrases, it's only one line. Ilahi guruhi ku guyand va Hasan hu. See, there are some people who say, where in relation to Allah? Where is Allah? Where? But Hassan, that's his name, Hassan Zawda, he says, who? He sees Allah in all things. At-Tawheed Isqatul Idafat. The next question on Tawheed, although I don't know, there's a clock, yes. Is that clock right? 8 o'clock? Yes. When do I have time? Pardon?
It's 2 minutes to 8.
Right. What time can I speak until? Yeah. What's the... Because I have 10 minutes of Zikr Musibat.
We have 15 more minutes.
15 more. There's one issue, and that's the question of the relationship between Allah's essence and Allah's attributes. And sometimes we see writers writing that Allah's essence is His attributes. And there's a degree of truth in that, but there's a degree of falsehood in that too. It has to be explained. Because if we end it like that, saying His essence is His attributes, the question is, we can get to know His attributes, but we can't get to know His essence. Why is that then? Here we have to explain it. Now, Ayatollah Hassan Salah has gone through a procedure for the common layperson, like me and you, to understand this difference between Allah's essence, that who, and His attributes. He says, what is this essence of Allah? And what is its relationship with attributes, His attributes? He gives an analogy. The analogy is a very good one, because it simplifies it for us. And this is important in our aqaid, in our understanding of Tawheed. The analogy is the example of the person. For example, someone called Muhammad saying, I eat, I play, I drive, I study, I go to London, I do this, I do that. Here, this I that we're speaking about is manifesting, playing, driving, studying, going to London. But what is the I though? The eating, the playing, all that are manifestations of the I. Remember, kullu yawmin hu fi shan. Eating, playing, driving, studying, all these are manifestations of the I. We know of the manifestations. We see the manifestations. But what is the I when Muhammad says, I eat, I drink, I do that? Or sometimes even you say, my spirit, my mind. Even the spirit is a manifestation of that I. You say, my spirit, my mind, my mouth, my ears, my nose, my this, my that. What is this my though? What's the I here? The spirit, mind, head, nose, all these are manifestations of it. We understand all that. But what's the I? We want to get to the essence. We see all the manifestations, the attributes. Sometimes you can say, give one's passport details and say, in the passport, this I, Muhammad, for example, 60 kilograms, 1 meter 70, married, this, that. All these are just manifestations of the I. We want to know what the I is, though. These are just manifestations. That this I is manifesting moment to moment in different ways and manners. When he says, I eat, I play, I study, I drive, I, the essence of Muhammad, for example, he is the eater, he is the driver, he is the studier, he is the traveller to London. That's what, we accept all that, but we can't say he is the eater, period. No. We can't say he is the driver, period. No. He's all these. All these are manifesting. Manifesting from where? His essence. But what is that essence we want? We want to see what that I is. What is that I, minus all those multiplicities, minus all those manifestations, which are attributed to the I, but they're not the I. They're inseparable from the I. They're manifesting the I. They're attributed to the I, but it's not the I. It's just manifesting the I. It's true, it's inseparable from it, but we want to know what the I is. Ibn Sina has an experiment to appreciate this, but I don't have the book with me, unfortunately, so I couldn't write it down for you. I couldn't find it on the net either, but maybe if I look more, I'll find it and tell you tomorrow or someday. When they speak of Muhammad, when you hear the name, that person, Muhammad for example, you recall his face, job, height, weight, eyes, his family. All these you recall. What is the essence of Muhammad? That's what we want to know. Minus all these multiplicities, minus all these pluralities, we want to know what the essence is. These are just manifestations, attributes of Muhammad. The I is the I, always manifesting incessantly, moment to moment. Now all these manifestations, the eating, drinking, height, weight, all these are a hijab, a veil, a barrier to the I. It's difficult. All these manifestations prevent us to get to the essence of that boy, that man, Muhammad, for example. Because he's manifesting moment to moment. Those manifestations are a hijab for us to get to know of that essence. If one manages to eliminate or not to be drowned in those manifestations and put them aside, not be veiled from that essence and get to the I, that's heavy stuff. You're entering another realm now. But most people are drowned in their manifestations. However, it is accessible. Not in its entirety, but it is accessible. Even in relation to Allah. Man arafa nafsa arafa rabba. Whoever gets to know one's essence, one's self, that essence of the being, it's in unity with Allah. One Arif quotes the Bible in one of his works and says that in one verse of the Bible, it's an Arabic book, he says in one verse of the Bible, Allah says, ظَاهِرُكَ لِلْفَنَا بَاطِنُكَ أَنَا. Your outer aspect, dimension, is to perish. Your inner aspect is I. Allah is saying this. But it's difficult. What is this I? It can't be the body. Because the I is always the same. The body changes every few years, now and again. It's not always the same body. This I is the same I that is constantly manifesting from the beginning to the end. The I accompanies all these manifestations. It's never separated from them. So we have an essence. We have an I. This I can be looked at in different dimensions and aspects. If the eye is looked at in the dimension of seeing, which is an attribute, we call the eye seer, basir. If that eye, we're looking at it in the angle of hearing, we give it a name, is. Hearing is the attribute, the sifat. That eye, that essence, when we look at it, when it manifests seeing, we give it a name. We say seer. When we look at it as hearing, we give it a name, Samia, hearer. When Muhammad is looking at his writing, looking at Muhammad qua writing, we give it a name, Katib, writer. This seeing, which we say he is Basir, the seer, is a name. Now this name, this ism, usually, it can either be in relation to just alluding to that attribute of seeing. We have an essence that sees, we call it the seer. That's just a verbal name. That's not important. We want to see the seer in real terms. There is a seeing that actually happens. The name that we give seer is just a verbal name. In relation to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when we say Basir, that is an ism, a name of Allah. The attribute is seeing, the name is all seeing, the seer. But it's a reality. All the seeing that happens in this world is a manifestation of Allah's. That's what we call is. The concept of seeing is called ismul is, the name of the name. That's just a concept. The actual word is called name of the name of the name. Ismul is. That's just a verb. That's just a word, a literal word. That literal word is the name of the name of the name. The name is a real seer. The meaning of that real seer is the name of the name. Well, you make it confusing like that too. But we're coming to an important point here. So this seer that we call Allah, now switch to Allah here. In essence, looked at, qua seeing, we call it Basir. He is the seer. But it's a real entity. It has a physical and external existence. All the seeing that happens, it's Allah's seeing. All the hearing, it's Allah's hearing. All the knowledge, it's Allah's ilm. He is alim. The child who is in the nursery, the university student, the doctor, all those, Allah is manifesting. He is alim. He is manifesting. Kullu yawmin huwa fi shan. All the sustenance that we get from the grocery, from the fruit shop, from all the confectionery, this sustenance, Allah is Raziq. These are all manifestations of Him, qua providing sustenance. Not that Allah is Raziq, period. No. Not that He is Alim, period. He's all these. And He's manifesting moment to moment. Now sometimes we only call Allah Raziq in relation to something. Does that mean in relation to a thing, Allah's other attributes are not in play? That would be problematic again. We're separating Allah's attributes. We can't. Allah's attributes in their entirety are manifesting in everything. You can't put a degree to Allah. There's more Allah here and there's less Allah here. There's no gradation in relation to the existence of Allah. All His attributes are in all things. However, these all things, they are recipient to receiving these attributes. But due to the varying levels of recipients that different things have, they only manifest differently. It's quite a delicate point, this. X thing, Y thing. It's who transcending through X and who transcending through Y. So why aren't they the same exactly? It's because they differ in relation to how they are a recipient to those attributes. They manifest differently. Gradation and degree in relation to Allah's manifesting is possible, but not in relation to His essence. Okay, I think I've tied you a bit here. With your permission, I'll stop here. Wa sallallahu ala Muhammad wa ala
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajil farajah.
Shall we start Musibat from tomorrow? I think maybe you're tired then.
No, we can do a few minutes.
Are you sure? No, if people are tired, I don't want to. Yes. Although I'm not very good with Zikr Musibat, but since they asked me to do it from a long time ago, I accepted. Out of respect for you, otherwise I'm not the person really to. I'm not good at it. So tonight, in relation to Muslim Ibn Aqil, inshallah, I'll say a few words. Muawiyah died in the year 60 post-Hijrah. And the people of Kufa, which was the center of Shiism at the time, saw that the government was to be conveyed to Yazid. And this they couldn't accept. The governor of Kufa at that time was Nu'man ibn Bashir, who always lived with precaution. The head of this movement against Yazid was Sulaiman ibn Surad al-Khudai. He suggested inviting Hussein alayhi salam to act as Khalifa. They sent 18,000 letters of allegiance, many of them signed by more than one person. Imam Hussein alayhi salam sent Muslim ibn Aqil, his cousin, to observe the status quo in Kufa. Muslim was welcomed warmly initially, and he wrote to Hussein alayhi salam acknowledging and confirming the high spirits of the people. On hearing the news, Imam Hussein, who was in Mecca, decided to move onwards towards Kufa. Yazid was informed of Sulaiman ibn Surad's uprising and allegiances. Kufa was in the process of transformation. He sent Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad, who was the then governor of Basra, and assigned him to be the governor of Kufa as well, in order to protect the interests of Yazid. Within days, Ibn Ziyad's propaganda machine managed to create so much disunity and managed to decrease hope amongst the revolutionaries. Ardent followers of the cause were decreasing hour after hour. And when they came to meet one night in a private session what to do and how to revolt on the eve of the 9th of Dhul Hijjah, after performing Maghrib and Isha prayers, only 30 people were left. Muslims said, "It's all over. We're too few. We have to escape and try and inform Hussein alayhi salam." They set off to escape. Even then, a handful of men would flee the scene every time they would reach a split road, until Muslim was all alone. Wandering through the streets of Kufa, he came across a house with a woman standing outside. She was called Toa. She knew of the bedlam and chaos in town and was waiting eagerly for her son to come home. Muslim asked for some water. The woman provided. Muslim drank and emptied the container, thanking the woman. To'a went in, placed the container, and returned, waiting for her son. Muslim was still there though. Why are you still here? She asked. Muslim said, I have no residence in this town. I'm all abandoned. Who are you? And why are you all alone? To'a continued. I am Muslim ibn Aqil, came the response. On hearing that it was Muslim, To'a expressed her respects towards him, knowing of the situation, and offered to assist. The son eventually arrived, the son of To'a. He had noticed her mother continuously going to and from a specific chamber in the residence. The mother tried not to inform his son, but was eventually forced to. To'a made her son swear on oath that he will not disclose this information to anyone. But the prize on Muslim's head was too much for the son. He went the following morning and informed the governor, Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad, who sent Muhammad Ash'ath, brother of Imam Hussein's wife Ju'da, with 70 troops to the address where Muslim was hiding. The battle began, 70 on 1. Muslim was strong. He managed to kill 41 of them. His strength was such that he was able to throw many of the soldiers onto the roof with his bare hands, although the roof in those days wasn't very high. Muhammad Ash'ath sent a message to Ibn Ziyad, more troops are required. Ibn Ziyad became angry. Couldn't you even defeat one lonely person? Ash'ath replied, you didn't send us to fight the local grocers. This sword is one of the swords of Muhammad ibn Abdullah. More troops were sent. It was time now to confront Bukayr ibn Hamran al-Ahmari. Bukayr struck Muslim on the lips with his sword. Muslim's upper lip was torn. His 2 lower central incisors were detached, torn apart. Muslim then struck him twice, one on the head, leading to his fall down from the horse, and another piercing his body via his shoulder, leading to Bukayr's death. Muslim, however, was now becoming tired and breathless, with blood continuously being discharged from his body. But the enemy were increasing in number. They were throwing stones at him, injuring him more and more. What has made you treat me as if I was an atheist enemy? Don't you know that I belong to the Holy Prophet's family? Why don't you respect and abide by the Prophet's rights over his progeny? Muslim said. The attacks were continuing. Muslim no longer had control over his body. All of a sudden, someone struck him from behind, leading Muslim to fall on the ground and then become captured. Muslim was taken to Ibn Ziyad. Ibn Ziyad would mock Muslim, would swear at him, swear at his father, swear at his uncle, swear at his cousins, including Hussein alayhi salam. Muslim replied, you and your father are more worthy of such words. Do with me whatever you will. I fear no one but Allah. Ibn Ziyad ordered someone to take Muslim on the palace's roof, separate his head from his body and throw them down onto the ground. During his route to the roof, Muslim would invoke Allah, saying La ilaha illallah, Subhanallah, with tranquility. Allahumma ahkum baynana wa bayna qawmi qarruna. O Allah, judge between us and the people that have deceived us, وَكَذَّبُونَا, and lied against us, وَأَذَلُّونَا, and dishonored us. On reaching the top of the roof, Muslim looked down and then looked in the direction of Mecca and uttered As-salamu alayk ya Abu Abdullah. When news of Muslim's death reached Imam Hussein, his holy eyes were filled with tears. He immediately recited the following verse of the Quran: مِنَ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ رِجَالٌ صَدَقُوا مَا عَاهَدُوا اللَّهَ عَلَيْهِ. Amongst the believers there are people who are true to that which they promised before Allah. فَمِنْهُمْ مَنْ قَضَى نَحْبًا, and amongst them there are those who have fulfilled their vow until the very end, until death. وَمِنْهُمْ مَنْ يَنْتَظِرُ, and there are those who are in wait. وَمَا بَدَّلُوا تَبْدِيلًا, and they will never change their ways. Hussein didn't give up. He didn't change plan. He didn't say, we're done with, even though it meant there were no 18,000 anymore. Rather, he said, إِنَّهُ قَدْ قَضَى مَا عَلَيْهِ, verily Muslim abided by that which was his duty. وَبَغِيَ مَا عَلَيْنَا, all that's left is now our duty. It's our turn. However, many people separated from the Imam with hearing this information of Muslim. لَمْ يَبْغِ, according to reporters, لَمْ يَبْغِ مَعَهُ إِلَّا أَهْلَ بَيْتِهِ وَصَفْوَتِهِ, there remained no one else accompanying Hussein save his Ahl Bayt and his companions. Amongst the family members, 10 were directly related to Muslim. His children, his brothers, his wife were in the caravan of Imam Hussein. Muslim had a young daughter, so did Hussein alayhi salam. Hussein was to give the news of Muslim's death to Muslim's daughter. He didn't want to burden others with giving the news. He took it upon himself. He started stroking her head, speaking with utmost affection. The girl was smart though. She knew something was up. This was Muslim's daughter. This affection is fatherly, she thought. O Abu Abdullah, O son of Rasulullah, if my father dies, she asked, how much affection will you show towards me? More than this? Oh, my dear little daughter, Imam Hussein replied, I shall replace your father. The lamentation started from the women's side of the tents. Hussein then turned to Ibn Aqil's sons. O children of Aqil, you've donated your share. One Muslim Ibn Aqil is sufficient. You've done your part. You can all go. However, they replied, Wallahi, la narja'u hatta nusiba tha'lana. By Allah, we won't return until we take revenge of his blood. O nadhuqa ma dhaq, or taste that which he tasted. Once the Holy Prophet had said to Amir al-Mu'mineen, before Muslim's birth, he said, I like Aqil, your brother, for 3 reasons. Firstly, he's your brother, Ali. Secondly, he's Abi Talib's son. And thirdly, Inna waladahu lamaqtulun fi muhabbati waladihi. His son will be killed on the path of loving your son. Muslim was in total love with Hussein. When they took him up on the roof, he was all injured all over. He was hit by stones, arrows, his teeth broken, face covered with blood. Then some people noticed that he was shedding tears. These were shedding tears because of being separated from his master. But they said in mockery, are you scared of death? We thought you were courageous. Hussein alayhi salam also had a little daughter. On the day of Ashura, when Imam was bidding farewell to everyone, this daughter, Sukaina, ran up to his horse, grabbed onto Imam's horse, and said, I have something to tell you. But I want you to dismantle the horse and come down. Imam came down. Sakina said, I'll tell you once you sit on the floor. Imam sat on the floor. I'll tell you once you hold me in your arms. Then Sakina said, now recall when you were stroking Muslim's daughter's hair on hearing of Muslim's death. I want you to do the same with me. Maybe we shall be sharing the same fate as her in an hour's time. No, not